r/AskReddit. People who work in hotels, what was the strangest thing you found in someone's room? Worked at a local cheap hotel chain in town as housekeeping, shadowing the boss in my late teens. We were told all the previous night's guests were gone and went about changing the rooms. The second to last one still had the do not disturb still on the door. Didn't think anything of it. People are in a rush leaving. Okay, that fine. Do the obligatory knockers, were told no answer, so we just head in to clean. We find the man that checked in days before sadly hanging in the room. Still think of him years later and after that we were told to place Bibles in the bedside drawers of guests. Only being a teen, I didn't realize this was unfortunately common in places like that. I've been in the hotel business for 30 some years. People are always surprised to learn that many people commit suicide in a hotel because they don't want their loved ones to find them. It's the second most common place to do so. First is home, of course. Love toys, a lot of them, all under the bed in the metal box frame. Like, I mean, enough to start your own store. Also about used 50 syringes, burnt spoon and other drug paraphernalia. Oh, the stories I can tell from working in hotels for so many years. Please do. Well, here we go. Girl climbed out of the window from the 3rd floor. I was already up there because of a noise complaint. Her friend opens the door and she's legit climbing out of the window. I go to grab her, but only get a hold of her hand. Well, just like the movies, she's hanging from the window by me just holding her. Unlike the movies, it's hard as duck to try and lift someone up, especially when they aren't trying to climb up. She fell. She had blood coming out of her mouth, and she kept trying to move. I told her to stop moving and call 911. Her friends saw her lying there and just dipped. One day a lady came running down the 1st floor hallway. She makes it just far enough so that I can start to see her. Then all of a sudden, I see her head fly backwards. The guy chasing her pulled her hair. By the time I make it to her, the guy is just beating on this girl. Got him calmed down somehow and back to his room. I got the girl into the office and called the cops. One guy was due to check out. It was past checkout time and the latch was locked. It happens once in a while, and so I take the tool and open the latch. I see beer cans everywhere and then an empty bed. However, on the nightstand there were empty pill bottles. Then I walk to the closet and there he is. A makeshift noose made from the bed scarf, and he kind of just passed out with the noose hanging on the closet rack. It was too late, since rigor mortis already set in. So at the end, I sold the hotel. Literally the next day I was walking around with the new owner. Some guy wouldn't check out and come out of his room. He just locked himself in there. So I call the cops and we get the door open. The cops immediately recognize him. After he gets escorted out of the room, the new owner and I walk into the room. This dude took a knife to everything. I mean, the walls are cut up, the linen, the mattress, the carpet, the furniture, and the curtains. I just look at the new owner, and he has this look of what the hell did I get into? I was so relieved that it wasn't my problem anymore. So that's a few of the better stories. A fingernail man, made from full fingernails. My girlfriend and I went to a hotel a few years ago, and at the foot of the bed was a pile of toenails arranged in what I can only describe as a little Stonehenge. We had this dude Eric stay with us, and he had 14 bottles of barefoot wine and a Sam's Club size box of frozen sausage biscuits and gravy. He shit all over the room. There was no surface mist, even the ceiling and walls. Then after we kicked him out and charged him, he sat in his truck across from us, and we could see him trying to sleep in the cab. Suddenly, while housekeeping was cleaning the room in full hazmat gear, they hear sirens coming. They look over, and the cops are surrounding Eric with guns drawn. We crack jokes about him shitting all over their cruiser from the stairs. Turns out what we didn't get to see was him shitting out all the balloons of drugs he had up his butt. Classic Eric. Well, it's not exactly something that was there, but more like something missing. I had to call some guests to see why they haven't checked out with the front desk, but I didn't get a response. I went to the room being at a bedroom suite, and they actually had 2 suites booked, and when I entered there was no one there. The room was trashed with garbage everywhere and literally a ducking pizza slice stuck to the ceiling, which I'm assuming was made purposefully as a joke. But one thing stuck out. The fridge was missing. I looked around, but couldn't find it. Did they steal it? The moment I entered the other bedroom suite, which was as well trashed, but not as bad as the previous one, and went in one of the bedrooms, I finally saw it. The fridge was there. They moved the fridge from one suite to the other and put it next to the bed. At least they didn't steal the fridge, so that's nice. Still charged them for the trashed room though. A plague mask. I worked overnight at a Best Western. Checked a guy and girl in. Got a noise complaint about 3 AM. They somehow managed to get his motorcycle in the room. This still confused me, as I really believe I would've noticed and were revving the engine and heavily intoxicated. What the hell are some people thinking? Housekeeping called me because they were too scared to clean a room. Went up and the curtains were closed. The mirrors were covered with fabric. There were a bunch of candles and symbol/odd tokens placed all around the room. The whole setup was strange, but hey, each to their own. From what I've seen, if mirrors were covered, it's a good sign. It keeps away unwelcome or bad spirits. Sorry, just my 2 cents. Or it's vampires on a vacation. I'm a catastrophic insurance adjuster, and I work the hurricanes and big storms. I'm in a different hotel room every night, and depending where I am, I don't always get to stay in the nicest ones. I have to say, I have stayed in thousands of hotel rooms over the years, but I'm still always grossed out by them. You just know that you are sleeping in a bed that many gross people have slept and did lots of gross things in. I did find a big black love toy under a bed once when I was in South Carolina. They didn't even comp my room for that one. I buy sleeping bag liners, so I at least have a barrier between me and the sheets, and it helps me sleep better. First thought, wow, don't be so hard on yourself. I'm sure you're at least an okay insurance adjuster. I worked in a hotel/casino as overnight staff. I had to issue a noise complaint one night, and after about 5 minutes of standing outside the room knocking, and the guest not coming to the door, myself and security let ourselves in. This dude had like 6 girls in the room with him, and the bed was covered in Visqueen and the Visqueen was covered in butter, and on top of the butter was thousands and thousands of dollars. Dude was having these women cover each other in butter and then roll around in the money. Whatever attached to them they kept. Where can one sign up for this? Asking for a friend. Scariest mystery, blood everywhere, on the walls, carpet and sheets. Called the cops but nobody could figure out what happened. The room wasn't registered to anybody and no noises were heard. Pathetic, a California guy arguing with a prostitute about payment. She stole his identification until he paid up. He threatened to call the cops, to which I told him that he would go to jail for solicitation and she would for prostitution. So he paid her the money and she left. Afterwards he cried on my shoulder for an hour about how he couldn't find love. When I was about 17 I left a pile of pillows wrapped in a sheet, the telephone cord wrapped around the neck, and the Holy Bible opened to Exodus. I'm sure it was interesting, to say the least, for housekeeping, but I feel like an ass now for giving them extra work. Was this by chance in Ohio? Same thing happened at our hotel, and housekeeping didn't want to clean the room. Funny as hell though. We definitely got a kick out of it. Not Ohio but nice. Glad I'm not the only one with disturbing humor. I used to work at a small, locally run hotel as a housekeeper. We found a lot of strange things, a trunk of creepy Victorian dolls, a large snake and a dresser drawer, but the weirdest thing we ever found was a leg. A prosthetic leg wearing a red pump to be precise. It looked pretty worn, and we found it in the shower. People usually come back to collect the things they left, but no one ever claimed the leg. I'm pretty sure one of my coworkers took it home. A suicide attempt. Had a worried mom call the front desk and ask us if John is staying at the hotel. We aren't allowed to give away info, but she said that he's got some mental issues and he is a high suicide risk. So we take down her info and call the police. I go to the room and knock on it and can clearly hear someone having a panic attack inside, screaming, crying, etc. I decided to open the room before the cops showed up and found a room almost literally covered in blood. Imagine a Dexter type murder scene, and that's what it looked like. The cops got there a minute or so later and were able to subdue the man. He survived. The real fun part was trying to recover the damages afterwards.